The Whale Foundation started over 30 years ago when unfortunately the Grand Canyon River community lost one of its prize boatmen, Curtis Grant Hansen, known as the Whale. Today, this foundation creates advocacy for river guides in the Grand Canyon community, providing healing health and physical health, and other programs that elevate future lives for emotional and financial support for all generations. Here's their story.
The river is the strongest living entity in our universe. Without supporting it, I don't believe that humans would be around.
It feels like home. It provides tranquility and a space to go away from our crazy world and recenter.
We're all here because we have the love for the river. We all have that passion. You know, it's thrilling, it's exciting. Every day is a new adventure.
I met Whale in 1988 when I came down to start doing river trips for Hatch.
Whale was fantastic. He helped me a lot with, as an example of how to be a good human.
He loved the river.
He was a good boatman. He did have his share of mishaps. There's the Magnet Rock in Hants. Now people call it the Whale Rock.
He was on a one-boat trip, and so we came down in the morning to go to Havasu, and this is how we found Whale.
There was a guy named Joe Tonsmer that worked for Hatch. So he told me this when I was working for him. That Whale showed up, came on a Hatch trip, and he washed off the boat. He was a large, naked body on the beach that was semi-comatose. And Joe claims that he's the one that pulled over and picked him up and called him Whale.
Well, I mean, we loved to ski, we loved to party, and those things kind of went hand in hand, especially in those days. There weren't a lot of rules, thank goodness.
He got all the other boats to pull over, and then he lined everybody up, and then he led them in a dance. High kicking, you know, and I mean, here's this fella that you wouldn't imagine, and he's just, hey, you know, and he's jumping around and everything. And I just stood there and watched it, and I went, who'd have thought? I wouldn't have believed it.
And then when we walk in, the little kid looks up and his eyes light up, and he looks and he goes, "Oh my God, it's Santa Claus!" And then Whale sat down and the little kid sat on his lap, but it was something about his personality that spoke to that little kid that gave him the confidence to realize that Whale was an altruistic, giving human being that you could feel confident about being around.
But this shows the true nature of his character. He was fun-loving and always do anything for a laugh.
Talking is just a really, really good way, I think, to come to understand things. But you have to have somebody to talk to. Talking to yourself is not the way to do it.
When Whale needed somebody to talk to, he would turn to himself. You know, and he carried the weight of all his problems. You know, he had a devil sitting on one shoulder and an angel sitting on the other, and every time the angel would put a halo over a Whale's head, the devil would grab it.
He wasn't someone that expressed his vulnerability to people. He was always there to listen. But he wasn't somebody that was going to reach out and say, "Oh, hey, I've got problems. Oh man, I'm really on the edge." That just wasn't part of who he was.
The way he fought his demons was to care about other people.
He had his demons. They were there.
His mother had committed suicide, and he had a cousin about the same age as him that he loved dearly, and she took her life. And he and I were talking, and I said, "No, well, this isn't something that you're considering, is it?" And he said, "No, Bobby, to me that's totally unacceptable behavior." And I felt relieved until I realized that unacceptable behavior was Whale's trademark.
And then I remember asking him, I'm like, "Okay, well, this is this is genetic. Can you make me a promise? I know that it runs in your family. And can you promise not to commit suicide? Then he promised me he wouldn't do it. And then like a couple months later, he said goodbye to everybody.
We started the Whale Foundation the day of Whale's memorial. We needed to make a positive out of a pretty negative situation, and the best way to do it would be to start a foundation in his name.
Bob and I just started talking, going, man, what could we, is there something we can do? Is there some action we can take? And we didn't know what it was going to be, but we wanted to take some action. And that was the very kernel of it right there, where it started. It's like, what can we do?
When Bob, who was Whale's roommate, approached me about making something meaningful, like not having Whale's suicide be something that we all just kind of said, oh, that's a terrible tragedy. Instead of that, making it something where we could actually help people who were struggling mentally, and in whatever way they were struggling, where we could do something that mattered. And the Whale Foundation came of that.
I believe my guiding career spanned about 15 years, and during that time, I relied on the Whale Foundation for my personal life, for my business, and was a board member. And I feel that guiding changed me and my life and my trajectory. And I feel like the Whale Foundation is something that is essential for river guides to utilize. And it's such a valuable resource that has so many dynamic services that I wasn't aware of until I became a guide. And I think it's really beneficial.
We wanted to be a resource for everybody in the river community so that a tragedy like Whale's death would hopefully not repeat itself.
There's multiple of ways to support the Whale Foundation. Like myself, I'm volunteering my time. There's lots of different events that we do where we need volunteers, and we also need financial support. So if it's something that touches your heart, there's a way to contribute. Since 1996, the Whale Foundation has supported the Grand Canyon River guiding community through ensuring guides have a stable mental, physical, and financial foundation through mental health counseling, health insurance assistance and health fairs, educational scholarships, financial guidance programs, and mentorships. The Whale Foundation aims to ensure that guides never feel alone and always have a place to turn for support.